Hello, everyone. Today we are speaking on the need for women leadership in Indian politics. India is the largest democracy. We are a country which has a plethora of laws, which are specific legislation and beneficial legislation for women and children. And we have a vast polity where 50% of the population is women. And of course, they are in some way or the other active in all kinds of spheres. We do not find them largely present in the political arena of our country. You see that in the 21st century, in the last few decades, we have managed to become a wonderful country. Women have contributed in various areas. In every field you see, whether it is the medical field, whether it is the legal profession, whether it is the judicial system, whether it is the administrative system, the bureaucracy, or even if you see the corporate sector. And at the grassroots level also, you find women, and women are excelling wherever they are. But you still don't find them in leadership positions in political arena. Much needs to be thought about this particular topic. Also, we need to understand what is the reason and what are the main factors that bring us to this particular reason why women are not there in the political arena, in leadership roles. The fact is that women have faced a certain kind of I wouldn't say certain kind of a challenge in reaching the top positions as far as political leadership is concerned. If you look at the data of Southeast Asia, you will see that even in these particular patch of countries, India stands fifth as far as women parliamentarians are concerned. If you below Afghanistan and Bangladesh and Pakistan and Nepal. And if you look at the representation in the higher houses of our democracy, parliamentary democracy, you will find only hardly an average of 10% within the state legislatures and the central government, a central house which we call the parliament. And this brings us to think why women do not reach these positions despite their capabilities, despite their willingness to come into politics, despite their expertise in many, many fields, and despite their commitment to social work and social justice. It is a state of affairs where we find that women face a lot of barriers. Women not only face the barriers, they have to face these barriers in order to overcome them because they pose themselves as challenges. And after even overcoming these challenges, when women reach these positions, it is very difficult for them to sustain in the power structure. We have tried to collect data, studies, all kinds of reports are there. But yet, we are unable to understand what is this or what are these factors that keep women away from these leadership positions in politics of our country. The world over, wherever we go, wherever we see, we find that women do achieve those positions. In fact, India had a woman prime minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. India had the first woman speaker in the Lok Sabha. India had a woman president in India. And, the Indian National Congress Party had Mrs. Sonia Gandhi as the Congress president. That is how we find that there are several women leaders in politics. But yet, the percentage or the representation which should be there, looking to the 50% polity of India that women share with the other 50%, we do not find that kind of women leadership in politics. I would like to see that we look around and we find that why we need women leaders in politics. That is another question. There are not many women leaders, but why do we need them? Well, women leaders, the younger generation looks upon them as role models. For women leaders, they bring a certain kind of an understanding, a sensitivity to the structures where they sit in the decision making. Their participation is very important. And also, they strike a certain kind of a balance, which is much, much needed for a participatory democracy. Yet, when we look at these reasons, we feel a strong need for women to come into politics and to come as leaders, to come as decision makers, because politics is all about two things: leadership and decision making. Politics, of course, is an arena where the factors that give power in that structure are very complex, stratified at different levels, and also complicated. Yet, if one gets the most important factor, and that is acceptance, which is the most needed factor as far as political leadership is concerned, you need to overcome a lot of factors, a lot of barriers. To see that women become leaders, we need to identify where we have failed, why we are unable to see that we have, let's say, if not 50%, but at least 30% of women parliamentarians, or women in legislatures, women in decision-making procedures. And we try to look at surveys, we look at economic surveys, we look at political surveys, and we try to find out factors. There was an economic survey in 2018 which listed a number of factors, and the factors said that, well, the existing cultural attitudes in our society. We have a society which is having several kinds of factors, such as caste, religion, race, class, inequality, disparity in wealth, and not to talk about poverty and illiteracy. But apart from these factors, there are other reasons like lack of finances for a woman, lack of safety, and especially the feeling a woman should not get of security is missing somewhere. If you look at the NCRB records, because I'm mentioning 2018, I'm trying to mention the fact that between 2012 and 2016, the National Crime Bureau record shows that there was a lot of increase in cases of violence against women. I'm not saying that this is a factor which deters, but definitely it's a factor to reckon with, because when a society has a factor which it cannot deal with and give 100% surety that there would not be gendered violence, which men of course do not face. And so if a society cannot give 100% safety cover, I think this also becomes one of the factors where women leaders do not come out in the open and try to become leaders. Apart from their struggle, their becoming leader, it is the society, it is the political class also along with the society, which needs to encourage women to take these positions, to give them positions in the party, to see that they are given their worth, to see that they are encouraged, and to see that they get a political rightful place so that they can lead the generations to come as far as this situation is there. The reason why I'm talking about these factors is that in 1994, 73rd and the 74th Amendment gave reservation because we come to the part of quota and reservation to women. And that was the former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi who thought of this vision. And we had the amendments in 94. And today, we have almost about 13.45 lakhs of women members in the local governments, and almost 1.1 lakh women sarpanches have already the past 3 decades have seen. And that is why we at the moment think that we should have reservation to have political leaders, and especially women leaders in politics. The reservation did give a chance to women to come out to take public positions at the gram panchayat level, at the urban local level, and that is where they sat with other members to take decisions, to make decisions. And if the studies of these policies go, they show that women have contributed a lot, whether it is at the local gram panchayat level to have to have some kind of access to education for children, or to have some kind of Boriband dams. Women sarpanches have taken very, very strong decisions. And despite there being a criticism that, well, the family members do take over the decision making as far as the woman member is concerned, I think slowly that is going away, because women, once they are in these positions, once an opportunity is given to women in this kind of situations or in this kind of power structures, they do show that what society needs is of priority. And that is where the social justice angle comes, when women leaders take part in a participatory democracy in decision making. Economic is another part, where women, even if they want to come and accept positions in political arena, have lack of finances, which generally men or male persons, male figures do not face this. And lack of finances, often lack of education and illiteracy, access to several systems. For example, if I talk about the justice system, we talk all the time about access to justice. But where can women go to get that justice? Whether she is wronged within the homes, at the workplace, or in public domains by way of stalking on digital platforms, or wherever, does she become successful in getting access to justice? Because even getting access to the system, in order to go to get justice, those systems also are quite far away for women. And that is where I think the society needs to think very, very broadly, in fact, very strongly, in order to understand why we need women leaders in politics and why we don't have women leaders in politics at the moment, the desired number or the requisite number which a society should have in order to have a balanced society, in order to see that all people look at a society as a holistic society, as a society which has less number of imbalances. So that is where I think political sphere needs a lot of women leadership. A lot of examples are before us where women try to come out of their homes, because domestic sphere, let us not forget, is the first ground where women tries to get her identity, gets support, and that is the place from where she comes out in the public domain or a public sphere, where she tries to see that she's accepted by the people, the place at the grassroots level or the community level where she works for the people. And because of her work, because of her acceptance, because of her ideology, because of what she wants to do for society, because of the way she talks to the people, the way she looks after the needs of the people in a sense that she helps them out, that is where she gets acceptance and she comes out of the domestic sphere. But look, our country has to get a law, which is a domestic violence law. And when we have a domestic violence law, we have a law which is sexual harassment at workplace, we have laws of stalking, we have laws of following, eve-teasing in the public domain. And we have a system where we can haul up these perpetrators of crime. It is very difficult for a woman to singularly come out without the help of societal support, without the help of family support, without the encouragement of community support to be accepted as a leader. And that is where I think we all need to step in. Society needs to move forward. The society needs to change its mindset. And in fact, men need to change two things. One, their behavior, and also their attitude towards women. Why is it so? Is it so difficult that men cannot change their attitude? Is it not difficult? I mean, is it so difficult that systems cannot change their attitudes for women? Why should there be even a subtle kind of bias for women? Why can't women be accepted as they are, with their capacities, with their capabilities, and with whatever qualities they bring to the society's table? I think they are very strong. Women face challenges. They take the challenges overhead strongly. They overcome challenges. And we are unable to see that they fit in the power structure. We allow them to a certain extent to adorn some positions. We have wonderful examples in the medical profession. We have wonderful examples in the judiciary, in the legal system. We have corporate sector who shows managing directors and the chairpersons of the companies who are manned by women. We have information technology firms where women head the firms, and we find entrepreneurs struggling even at the local level. We find women entrepreneurs also at the rural levels. They are doing wonderful work in agriculture, but somewhere their hard work or their realizing their goals or aims to reach a certain position, somewhere in the power structure, there is a bias which holds them back to become leaders and to see that masses follow them, masses accept them as political leaders. The mindset of society needs to change a lot. And the third factor, apart from men changing their behavior and attitude both at home, at workplace, or wherever, in working spaces, whether they are private or public domains, or whether they are digital platforms, you can see that in digital platforms there is anonymity, and so there is a lot of kind of cyber stalking, and we are trying to get laws where we can curb this menace which is happening on the digital platforms and social media. But instead of these platforms being encouraging, accepting for women leaders, I think we are unable to stretch out that holding hand for women to come out as leaders. And that attitude needs to be changed. Along with that, the whole level of societal's mindset needs to be changed. Society has to come together in order to change its mindset from over the last several centuries. Because if you see our society, somewhere or other there is a little bit of every century living in our society. We love to have mobile phones, but we are unable to see that all those who have mobile phones, even at the lowest level, need education as well in order to find the difference between right and wrong, to understand what is the import and the purport of this mobile technology. This is what is most needed, and society needs to come ahead. It cannot come selectively ahead for only certain spheres and just not accept another part of societal advancement for women. But the third most important message, or not message but a factor, women have to become empowered themselves, which women are doing so. They are grabbing all the opportunities that are being given to them, right from right to education, to get a good education, to get a good economic independence, and also to have a look at what they can achieve in their lifetime with all these support structures, both given by the family as well as the government, because there are several schemes the government has floated for women empowerment. But unless and until a woman does not get empowered at home, she doesn't become strong at home, she's not given that support structure, she's not at in equality terms, she doesn't get the support or the courage to have that first step out of the domestic sphere. And in that community and at the social level, at the ground level, to work for the people of her country. And that is where that leadership qualities need to be given to her, practically act as a cushion to her, so that she works to become a stronger person in society, and especially where she can voice her thoughts, where she can take some decision, she can be a part of the decision making process at the governance level. And that is what is the meaning of participatory democracy. And participatory democracy cannot be without any participation from the 50% of the population which this country has. Equality is embedded in our constitution. It is given to the women. But it is not that every woman should go and grab equality. Is it not the duty of the society to also come and give a push to this equality? This is what she needs. But on the other hand, if once she is out of the house, out of the domestic sphere, and if she does not find a secure, safe environment where there is no bias, where there is no gendered violence, where there is only respect, where there is only holding hands, where there is encouragement, how is she going to move forward as a leader? And much as she would like to be a leader, much as she would like to help other women, and in helping other women, she is helping even families, because women are part of families and the women are the backbone of families. So that is where she takes a couple of steps back. And these are some many important factors that do not make women leaders in political setups. For example, a sarpanch has a certain tenure at the local level, at the gram panchayat level, or somebody is getting a position of decision making, sitting in a committee at the urban level. But if that tenure is over, you need to take her capabilities further. You need to give her an opportunity. You need to kind of help her, give her that support so that she's accepted. But that acceptance part has become a kind of a gender bias. And that is why, despite being in the 21st century, despite boasting of several victories, whether it is the space, or whether it is the IVF solutions for motherhood, or whether it is education, we have private universities and mushrooming all around. But we are unable to see that our women get equal positions with men. We are unable to see that we give them the support, we give them the encouragement they require. But most of all, women needs opportunity. So you find a number of women in political parties, numerous women in political setups. They are doing all kinds of organizational work. They are doing all kinds of campaigning work. But when it comes to giving them some kind of positions, it becomes difficult for the male's power structures to accept these capabilities of women. And so I definitely feel that just as the 73rd and the 74th Amendment has done for bringing 1/3 reservation for women in the local Panchayati Raj. The Panchayati Raj institutions have done wonderful. And if you just look at the studies that have taken place, some young women, some young educated women are taking to being sarpanchas in villages and doing good, fantastic work by sitting in these committees, working for their village forwardness to see that the villagers get the right kind of environment which is required and promised by the constitution. And so the sarpanches are doing wonderful. But then what after that? So that is where I think if there is a reservation, at least for, I would say, let there be a reservation for a term which can bring women leaders into mainstream, make them women leaders, and see that they form a part of our political decision making, participatory democracy. They take positions where they can work for women especially, so that we are free from these biases, we are free from this kind of violence that is practically happening at all levels in some form or the other. And in fact, it is practically disturbing the very environment where women would like to work. And that is where I think women need to empower themselves. First of all, they should have their own strong opinions. They should also have their strong political opinions in order to see that they become part of the political processes wherever they are, at the local level or at the state level. And they should bring their education, their empowered knowledge, their empowered experience, their whatever their qualities are, to see that they become good political leaders in Indian politics. The Women Reservation Bill in the Parliament was tabled in 2010. And that also, it took almost about 20 years, to bring it in the Rajya Sabha. It was passed in the Rajya Sabha in 2010, but it lapsed during the 15th Lok Sabha. And today we are not having that reservation bill in the parliament. I think for a time being, for a few minutes, every citizen of this country should sit back and think, why should we not have our women empowered? Why should our women not take part in decision making? Why should we not have reservation? Because let's go back to the history of our country. It has been for a long time all kinds of suppressions. There have been all kind of disadvantages. There have been all kinds of deprivations. And that is where I think women have kind of been huddled in a place where they are trying to come out, but to overcome the barriers, to overcome the challenges, to face these challenges takes so much energy, that time, and a lot out of the women, that much less needs to be remains for her to contribute to the political arena. I think this is where reservation should be there, and women should be given this opportunity to make a mark, to contribute to the democratic decisions of this country, and be a part of the governance structure of India. Women leaders need to women leaders, I think, women are born, in a sense, leaders. You look at your homes. Within the homes, we all rely on the decisions of our moms. Our mothers decide for us whether she has taken a graduate education or a postgraduate education. But still we rely on what our mom says. Women have some instinct, and we should trust that instinct and encourage that instinct. And that is why women look at a particular ideology which is only giving help, bringing something to the social justice angle, which I would say, because I, being a lawyer, I always think in terms of that women, when they are sitting in the local panchayati raj, they take decisions about, well, there is lack of water, we should have more wells, we should have more dams, we should have an access to roads where girls can go to school, there should be a school nearby, there should be a place where women don't have to walk so much for firewood, there should be enough water where women don't have to go and stand in queues to see that the water tanker comes. So this is where I think women bring sensitivity. And this sensitization of society is much needed. And that is why women look to an ideology where they want to help, they want to have a kind of a structure where they can operate without fear, without feeling unsafe, and still do better and better and good for society. There's a question that is asked that why it is so tough to accept women leadership. Yes, I think I did mention that uh, there is a certain mental bias, if you see why men are not able to change the mentality. We have mothers, we have sisters, we have daughters at home, and yet if we cannot change our mentality, our attitude, and if society cannot change, despite there being a constitutional mandate to our society, that yes, as Indians, we give to ourselves this constitution which gives equality to men and women, equality before law and equality in law. And that is why we need to accept this. We need to accept this cardinal principle that everyone is equal, everyone has a human right, everyone has a basic right to live with dignity, and that is what is very difficult, which is not being accepted. And that is where I think we need to encourage women, and that is we need to follow constitutional mandates. There have been a lot of special legislation in our country. I don't think so any other country has got so many laws, a plethora of laws, so many judgments from the Honorable Apex Court which say that this is where the directives which we give in our judgment should work for the people of that particular section, but we do not find them getting translated into action. That is where the society is holding back. The society is not implementing all that it should implement, and that is why I say a larger picture or the larger onus is on society. If men change their attitude, if society changes its mindset, it walks along the 21st century and does not exist in bits and parts in several other centuries, and wants to take only convenient stands and wants to take only convenient and selective measures, then I think the women, however hard she singularly or collective as a woman group tries, that complementarity which is required from the side of society will not come. And we often see that society is almost a mute spectator. It doesn't step in where it is required to step in. It does not raise its voice when it's required to raise that, yes, we should follow the constitutional mandate. It is for our own good. It is for the better of our democracy, and it is better for our country. Yes, there is a question that women has been given 50% reservation in PRI, and they're doing very good. There are 20 states in our country which have given 50% reservation to women in Panchayati Raj institutions, and that is what I was mentioning, that today I am seeing that in several places there are young women who have taken a good education, have decided to take part in participatory democracy, and they are pitching in for positions as sarpanch. They are winning, and in their tenure, they are doing wonderful work. They realize the issues of the people at the ground level. They are taking up these issues, and they know how to talk about funds, how to give and funds to which projects, where they are required. They know how to take up the issues with the authorities. They know how to interact, enter into discussion with the authorities, to have a dialogue with their own people at the grassroots level, at village level, at taluka level or block level, and come out with feasible solutions where they can have some kind of a package which is helpful to the society at that particular level. Yes, the question poser, Mr. Shri Mishra, you are absolutely right that 50% reservation in PRI has done wonderful, and that is why, taking that as a successful example, we should pitch in for reservation at both the legislature level as well as the parliament level. Let women come and let women take part in these decision making processes where they can talk about issues which touch society the most. We may not go to implementation of laws as a first measure. They should be implemented. but the specific beneficial legislation, whether it is for women or for children, is definitely not performing as it is required. We have the Domestic Violence Act, we have the Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act, we have acts where it is provided that women workers in factories and industries should have these basic rights. We have laws where we have committees at district level where there are no committees for sexual harassment complaints. We have Mahila police stations. We have so many NGOs who are working for the upliftment for women, and we are also having this PRIs, the Panchayat Raj institutions, where we see so many women. But then, why are we lagging behind? We should be the foremost or the first country where we should have women political leaders who who set themselves as role models for the next generation of young women and young girls who would like to be a part of these power structures. Thank you so much for hearing my views. Thank you, everyone.